Hey everyone. So this is the first episode of a podcast we're doing. We actually technically already recorded the first episode, but it turns out the lighting and kind of the technical
The audio was
aspects.
horrific.
So
And this is now the fifth attempt at the intro on the second recording of the first podcast episode.
so here we go though. We're gonna give it a crack. So I'm Suman. I guess professionally by day I'm the co-founder of a company called Marco.
I definitely don't want to know what you are by night.
Yeah, exactly. we help companies connect through experiences in a more kind of distributed world, events.
I am Will. I'm the co-founder of Bottle, which powers subscription commerce for local businesses.
But we met many years ago before.
Yeah. Longtime friends, met in college.
Yeah.
I don't have a memory of first time meeting you, but you've been ever present.
Yeah, for better or for worse.
Ever since.
Since recently your wedding and still here kind of working together. You were my first investor in my company.
Vice versa. That's our claim to fame. Hopefully it both means something in the end.
So we were kind of shooting the shit, and we've always wanted to like work on a project together. And this is one of those projects that we'll be hopefully working on. And so we're really passionate about something that a lot of folks are, which is I would say AI, but mostly learning more about AI. And the reason for me why I'm passionate is Steve Jobs has this phrase, when he made the iPhone, it was a computer in your pocket, but it was also a bicycle for the mind. And that presumably was because with this computer, humans could, go better, do better, go faster, that sort of thing. And to me, now with AI, it's almost like AI is a rocket or a Ferrari for the mind, just in terms of taking things from idea to conception almost scarily quickly.
Yeah, scarily quickly.
Yeah.
I am very interested in AI, I'd say for two reasons. The first is I had the existential crisis when I first saw it that I think everyone does. I remember back home this past Thanksgiving, and this was right before GPT dropped, ChatGPT dropped.
Yeah.
And my parents asked how I was, and I was like, I'm actually not great. Like, I've been losing a lot of sleep about AI, and that was even just around some of the image generation stuff out there and the GPT-3 playground. And anyway, there was this question at the dinner table because my dad was born right around Thanksgiving Day, and he was like, how often does my birthday fall on Thanksgiving? Because it changes every year. And we tried to Google it, and like nothing, you can't easily figure it out. And I put it in to the GPT-3 playground. Yeah. And within 3 seconds, boom, 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 it listed every year that his birthday, November 24th, landed on Thanksgiving, like instantly. And that was the first time my parents or anyone in my family had seen AI. And then like the next week, ChatGPT dropped. And I'm back here coding, and I give it code questions, and it comes back with the right answer, and I definitely don't sleep that night. And I texted you, and we went to a diner like late at night.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and we're like, we're fucked.
We're fucked. That's literally, it was this weird existential kind of moment, but also it was weird because we're also very excited.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's not. Yeah. It was like this conflation of multiple emotions, I would say.
Well, I think the crisis hits you, and then hopefully it turns to excitement. But I think you sleep on it one night, a week, a month. Like it takes a while, and then it wears off, and you're like, okay, how can it help me? And I think that's what I'm hoping to achieve. Yeah. In doing this, of getting through that existential dread. How can we actually use AI? Yeah. And not just fear it or run away from it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the academic kind of the data-driven thing is what Goldman had this report, and it talks about how there's going to be a significant disruption in a bunch of jobs. I think it was like 45% of jobs. They categorize different types of jobs and percentages of, and we can maybe even throw this chart up around like which industries will be affected. So that's like the Twitter data. That's the version.
Yeah.
But for me, I think what we want to do in this content is kind of like personalize that. And so for me, working in tech, you see a lot of these like marketing automation or kind of sales outreach automation, that sort of thing, like Jasper.ai and that sort of thing. But what was interesting was talking to one of our other mutual friend, Chris's partner, who's an interior designer, and then walking her through using AI for how you might think of certain trends, for example. And then we kind of like basically what we literally said, what are 8 use cases that you can use AI for? We picked one of them, and then we went through a flow, and we're like, well, cool, now let's use that. And one of them was like gathering trends, and without going too far into the story,
Oh, that's cool.
And then we showed it to her, and she was like, well, that's really. And then we were like, can you show us sites where you can actually purchase this stuff? And it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And so that to me is just a personal story around like, hey, you wouldn't intuitively say, oh, well, AI for interior design, but it's one of those things that it is prolific in terms of the number of industries it impacts.
Yeah. We'll have to do a whole episode around that Goldman Sachs report in and of itself. Like, of course, everyone knows the debate, like, will we make new jobs? Will this just replace jobs? And everyone's like, oh, well, don't be a Luddite. Jobs will come. I hope those people are right? I hope that we make better jobs. We'll see. Yeah, this time might be different, you know.
Well,
but on the Goldman report specifically, like, at least in the short term, at least my experience has been it makes people more productive. And if people are more productive, you go down the supply curve of what's possible, right? Like the world wants more software than it can afford. Yeah. And if software becomes cheaper, we're going to get a lot more software. Yeah. And that's at least what we're seeing right now.
I will say, so we have, for our company, we're under 20 people, but we got 6 folks in the Philippines who are great, fully dedicated team members through an agency that we both use. And one of the women we're talking about, so she works on the supply team, and so she essentially, when you have a new host, so we have events for companies, right? Like Airbnb experience meets masterclass for companies, and so we have to like edit their pages pretty heavily, and they don't have self-created pages yet. And we were going through the flow, and I was like, well, and she was like, yeah, well, I cleaned up the copy, and then I like look at the photos. And we're gonna use AI like you can. I'm like, well, you could totally do that automatically, and that provides a better experience for them because then they immediately have high quality pages for sitting. Yeah. And so, but the cool thing, the reason I bring that story up is because we're gonna have her work on other stuff, right? So then she's like, well, I spend 30, 40, 50% of my time cleaning these pages up, and if I could do that automatically, that'd be amazing. You know, I could spend 10%, and she's gonna do other stuff, so it allows us to go faster. So I don't know.
Yeah, if someone came to you, that you wouldn't say, oh, if my entire team's 2 times as productive, I would get rid of half the team.
Right? Like you think of new things to do with them.
Well, and you already have more to do than you can accomplish.
Certainly true.
Right. So, you need more people now. So so anyway. But that's not to say, like, I do think the doomers are, we'll see. Like, could you start to play with AI and you give it a programming file, a class, and you ask it to manipulate it and add a function or a method, and it does it perfectly. It's not hard to draw out. It can write an entire application.
Yes, let's not.
Okay,
we're
going down that road.
So we're not going to go down there yet. I will say also one of the things that we want to do with this is just straight up kind of around content, and so I'm a consumer of content. Really, on Instagram, and a creator.
You're a content creator.
I'm a content guy, but on Instagram, kind of socially, but on Twitter, not really successfully. Yeah. But I do think the content, at least on Twitter, is kind of, I don't know what your take on it. It's like pretty stale.
The quality has definitely gone down since COVID. Everyone was online during COVID, and I feel like a lot of great people are back in the real world. So people aren't tweeting as much as a year, 2 years ago, I think. Yeah,
but also just related to AI, and just generally, it's always like, here are 5 ways to do a cold plunge, or it's like, here is. My brother hates that content, but it's kind of like it's almost is it's contrived. It's like so contrived, where it's like, this is the formula to. It's like, here's my friend. I mean, there was this one in particular who I really respect, Greg Eisenberg. He's a great content creator, but he has a bunch of posts, and he has a post about kind of AI's impact on a copywriter. Yeah. And it was like a framework, and I was like, come on. I mean, it's just
free choice.
They won't throw the tweet on there because I reacted to it. But the reason I bring this up is we want our content to be authentic, easy to understand, fun.
Maybe everyone's using AI to tweet now. That's why it's all stale. Like all the threads are the same.
Well, maybe you should tell the AI.
Maybe they fired all their copywriters and everyone's shipping ChatGPT tweets.
That's probably
That's
true.
the mistake.
That's probably true. But we want it to be fun and kind of like unfiltered and not imperfect. I think is the word. But we also want it to be personal in terms of being based on things that we actually know that people are doing and building.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the content as well as for AI as well is like, hey, I built this tool, or it's not like a real example. And so I know that you had a pizza party last week. How did you use AI for that? That's a real example, right?
Well, my mind's already spinning on what you just said of we actually want to use it. We are using it.
Yeah, we are using it.
And it's really, I think if you like making things, this is the golden age. And again, like maybe it gets so prolific that it's not fun anymore, but I'll use this as one example and then parlay it to the meme we were talking about that I hosted a party and I would have never paid an artist to like make a poster for the party. It was just a one-off weekend party. But I went to Midjourney. No,
don't diminish the value of this is the hottest seat in town.
This is the hottest. I mean, this is the hottest ticket in New York. Bill's Pizza.
You got Carbone's, you got Bill's Pizza.
I mean, don't sleep on it. Actually, we're booked for months. Actually, until
I'm one of your best friends, and I just got the pure sympathy invite the other week.
I wouldn't frame it in that light, but you were added.
Day before.
Sympathy's a stretch, though.
Yeah.
More like just you fought your way in to the hottest resident city. Yeah, that's key. I went to Midjourney and wanted to make a little poster for that week, and I gave it a theme. I told it I wanted an icon because I didn't just, I don't like the party full imitations. That's a whole other discussion we should have. And it spit back immediately a bunch of different versions of really cool icons for the party. And then I took one, and I pasted it on an image, and it was just cool. And it's something that I never would have done. I never would have gone to Fiverr and paid someone to create this art. So it wasn't replacing someone's work in that regard. It was just elevating an invite, and it was fun to do, and was a creative process. But it does lead to that meme that I bet a lot of people have seen by now with Rick Rubin, because he just dropped that documentary, where he's like, what are you paid for? Because he doesn't play any instruments and doesn't play the drums and has no rhythm. And he just had, with full confidence, goes,
we got to insert this.
Yeah. I have extreme confidence in my taste. I have impeccable taste.
Yeah. And then he goes, people find my taste useful and competent.
No. I have no technical ability. And I know nothing about music.
Right. He's there to say yes and no. I like it. I don't. To Jay-Z, as if Jay-Z needs his input. It's crazy. Apparently, but we're all about to be Rick Rubin. If we're drowning in content, if you're the person at the Midjourney input portal telling it I want this, this, or that, it becomes a matter of taste, and that's all we'll be good for.
Yeah, well, you really went for it with that. But I guess if you have bad taste, then you're fucked, right?
It's not good.
Yeah. Well, so there's a problem statement, though. So we're deep in, I will say more and more people are learning about it, for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a problem around, a lot of people don't know how to use things. I think ChatGPT is fairly intuitive. But even that, right? I'm working with our team. And we're starting. You're going to do a session next week. We actually need to schedule it because we talked about it a couple times.
Yeah.
But initially, it's one of those things where you're unfamiliar and you kind of feel like you're being intellectually bullied if someone's like, "Hey, you don't use this thing." Mm-hmm. And I think actually I'd love to do a survey where I'm like, I could actually do it on Instagram after this, just a quick survey. How many people use this? Because I have really smart folks in my network, family, friends who certainly are not as into it. As me. So point being, it's not democratizing access to how to use certain features. And now there's so many other things coming out.
So many. Yeah. You can't even keep up with it. It's overwhelming. Yeah. I can't even keep up.
The funny thing is though, there's so many Twitter threads now, which is ChatGPT is cold coffee. Here are 10 new. Yeah. And it's baby GPT, agent GPT. That shit is crazy.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
That's who we should have Yohai on.
Yohai, sure. we should, if we could.
The creator of Baby AGI.
Yeah.
We might have to edit that part out.
No, but I think that there's this drop off around, you know, the crossing the chasm, kind of like super early adopters, and maybe that gets kind of squished together, that chasm, just because of the rate and pace of change. But even the stories we just talked about, right? Like your lawyer friends, right?
Yeah,
they're starting to dabble, but we want to.
I mean, what you just said resonates with me. I'm the person in our Slack channel, which is really annoying because people can't tell me to shut up. Yeah. That is like, why did we use ChatGPT? Run that through ChatGPT.
Totally.
Like,
you're
run that copy.
No one tells you to shut up. That you're. That must be nice.
They say it gently. They're
that's
like,
true.
We know.
That's true.
We know.
We know.
We know.
No,
but it's like,
but we're going to create a repository of prompts because then people
Yeah.
do it. We're reviewing. We have this legal contracting to assign for folks as they're making these larger transactions, and typically. For red lines, it's like it'll tell you exactly what you need to do. The responses, the legal language.
Yeah.
You used to have to pay for. I mean,
I'm waiting for that product to drop where it's the internal, it's shared ChatGPT, and you can share prompts and like that's coming soon, right? Someone's building that, I'm sure.
To all of our 5 listeners,
You've got a beta customer, right?
Yeah. Okay. So without, I mean. Further, it's kind of like what the concept that we landed on is a couple of things. One, it's called AI for Dummies. So we're going to be just in a fun and kind of open way talking about different concepts, whether that's news, trends, definitions. We'll bring on guests both from the space, I would say, that are technical, perhaps, but also just regular people. And I don't mean regular in like in a negative
non-shape rotators. For the deep cut rune followers there.
I actually didn't even follow that. Oh, now that I think about that,
you know what I'm talking about.
Now I do, but initially I was like, I don't actually. Yeah.
We'll have to do a shape rotator test after this.
Exactly.
How many dice can you get spinning in your head?
Oh yeah. But no, we want to bring people from like both kind of the kind of regular kind of professions they can talk about actual use cases that they're finding, and people who may be more kind of technical. Yeah. And the other piece of it is we've always been interested in potentially working on a business together.
Yeah. We're not starting a business, but we are going to like build stuff.
Exactly.
Together.
So that's what we set on because we're already pretty busy with our day jobs. So instead, but the thing is, I think you can get pretty far on a concept with AI. Yeah.
So I want to get specific on those 2 things. In my mind, it is, or 3 things. It's really 3 things we're going to do in this podcast. The first is try to respond to the existential dread of AI in just we have to learn about it way. Yeah. It's like as news comes up or tools come out and they seem scary, well, let's play with them and see where it goes. And like that's the best we can do. The second on your let's have like regular people guess on. In a specific example, we both know attorneys who had the same negative reaction that you have when you see this. You're like, my job's over. And then follow-up text of, oh, this is actually really helpful. I'm asking you to pour through discovery and come up with objections and write drafts for that still needs an attorney's review, still needs approval, isn't going to catch everything, but just like takes out the drudgery of work. Real examples with non-tech people of like how this is being used in the real world, which is really cool. And then I want to talk about our actual ideas in the third. So like, I'll let you tell yours, but I want to make an embroidered hat. It sounds dumb, but I want one of those.
The funny thing is,
I'm
going to put an image up here. I bought the hat. Unrelated to you talking about the hat, I'd already purchased the hat. Yeah. It's an overpriced Nick Fouquet hat.
Right. So I don't want the overpriced Nick Fouquet one. I want the regular priced Mid-Journey one that I make with icons.
Still probably not going to be cheap to make a custom hat, but
well, we'll see.
No, but so and how? Say a little bit more about that.
I want customized little icons embroidered on a corduroy hat, and I think it would be really cool. Would give them as gifts to friends that represent their personality. So my wife loves running, loves vegetables and the market. Like I could make,
she goes to running.
That makes her sad.
You should have said going to the market. She does love vegetables, but
in a big way she does. Yeah.
She does.
So I would put those on her hat, give it to her. a lot of things that
running towards a vegetable.
Running towards a vegetable.
Yeah. And so for me, I'm going to tell this in greater length, but my mom's name is Shanti, and I want to, you're just laughing at that.
Yeah.
I want to create a snack bread that's like a better for you Indian snack bread. This is a great story. I'll tell the full thing. But Auntie Shanti snacks, because her love language is like food. So I want to actually get as far as I can creating that.
Yeah.
With AI, which will be its own kind of episode.
Yeah, it'll be that. Those are the projects we'll be working. Stuff like that over time.
But we have a
with these
bunch of
tools.
ideas.
Yeah.
Anyways, stay tuned. Thanks for joining in to our first well-recorded episode.
First released.
Yeah, first released.